Oh, hello. Hi. It's a bridging generation. We're here again today with another video. I am French today, or Italian, or
I'm African. African.
African, or hello, bonjour, konnichiwa,
Are you able to
hola.
listen to me? I have something to tell you.
Yes, listen to her, okay? So today we're going to talk about children, and the irony is we started off with all these different type of languages, or um, I guess what lineages, or what would you call it, multicultural backgrounds, um, familiar spaces for those individuals that come from different places around the world, and everybody has children, and children are multicultural. So, what has been your experience working with most multicultural children?
Oh, it has been probably the greatest time of my life. Even when my first teaching assignment, probably because I worked in a Jewish area, I learned a lot about the Jewish culture that I would not have known. But teaching in a language where you talk, or a area where you talk to all different students from all over the world, that's a good thing because you learn stuff. You learn that that your mindset or how you think about
Mm.
things, or just because of your life experiences, but you expand yourself when like you've been going in different people's houses doing the kind of work you do,
Mm-hmm.
and you've learned. I'm sure you've learned things about cultures and mindsets that were not your experience coming up. It's a way of expansion, I think.
Absolutely, I would definitely have to agree with that. I believe that um, it really, I mean, I don't want to talk from the premise of having kids, but I do want to say, like, it is best for individuals to grow up and have a multicultural experience. It creates this well-roundedness. Um, and I also believe that although we're all from different backgrounds, there's a unity that we can kind of like tap into. And I know with you, all different cultures pull from you. Likewise with me, and it's like, wow, I can offer this to this group, and I can offer this to this group, and ultimately, it all boils down to that love piece of being able to love
That's figure
from,
funny because that's exactly what I was thinking.
yeah, and
And you can't do it because if you don't love them, you
yeah, you really
can't
can't.
cultivate relationships
You
without
cannot
love.
cultivate relationships without love. And it's
Mhm.
funny because this is a quick plug also. So she did Prophet Monica Boney. You can go over to her YouTube and subscribe. Her tag is what? Prophet Monica,
Oh, the
Moments with Monica? Prophet?
YouTube?
Yes.
Yeah, Moments
Yes.
with Prophet Monica
Moments with
Boney.
Prophet Monica Boney on YouTube, and on Facebook it's Monica Boney, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so please go over there and listen to what she had to say tonight about just being able to love. What is one of the challenges that you've experienced in loving different people who have grown up in different backgrounds that was different uh, than yours, or
My
maybe even similar
mindsets.
mindsets? Okay.
Yeah, mindsets are passed on through generations. Uh, I think I remember one time I had one student. I think she's from Korea. I don't think so. Anyway, she told me she didn't know that she could love somebody that was outside of her family.
Mm-hmm.
She never knew that. And she said she loved God.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't know that she could love some people that were not in her family.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. It is
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And I was aback, but I didn't admit it. But I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Oh, sweetheart, yes, God loves the whole world."
Mhm. Jesus loves the little children, all the children of the world. What color are they?
Red and yellow, black and white. They're precious in His sight.
Jesus love little children.
Okay.
Yes, guys. Yes. So she said that the girl was not, she was not aware that she could love people outside of her family. And sometimes you have people that's in family, who can't love family but can love people, other people outside of of their family. So that's just amazing. And one of the things, what does love with God look like?
So with children, it looks like oodles and oodles of patience.
Mm-hmm.
Oodles and more oodles of patience.
Mm-hmm.
Because they are in the learning mode and inquisitive. Um, have no concept of boundaries. And y'all see Whitney's face.
But I'm trying to listen to see where you're coming from and like where we're gonna go next.
uh, so yeah, I think that's probably one of the strongest things that you have to exemplify when you work with children.
Mm-hmm.
Patience.
Patience.
Mhm.
Um, she did mention also boundaries, and I think that is a good piece as well because kids they will soak up all the love or wherever there has been. I mean, because sometimes you see it in adults that have not that still have that deficit that they didn't get as a child or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
But um yeah, they will soak it up. A lot of parents have the experience where they can't even use the restroom
Which is exactly what I was going
without
for today.
that's exactly what
That's
that's
exactly
exactly
what
what
I'm like.
why I
How
mentioned
you
it.
holding the kid on the toilet? That's just
Yeah,
amazing.
it's truly amazing. And then I've had experiences where I've known kids to fall asleep in the lap of somebody while they're using the restroom because they like, I can't sleep. I can't go to sleep without knowing that you're here. Um, but it definitely shows you the design in which we were created. We were created for the space of love.
Absolutely.
But the boundaries piece, as I started off earlier, because I want to finish that statement. But boundaries are important because God shows us boundaries. And he causes us to operate within boundaries as a form of protection. And so you have to implement boundaries when it comes down to kids because that's what love look like. I care about you, and I care about me too. So we're going to implement this boundary so that God's love can be most profound. But yeah, everyone has that that God hole is what they call it, like the space of love for God in their hearts. And I mean, what has been the most jaw dropping thing for you as you experience in different cultures or even just kids within your culture? What has been the most jaw dropping?
Mistreatment of children,
What does that look like?
failing to teach, failing to train,
Mm-hmm.
failing to provide,
Mm-hmm.
failing to get them to a place where they can live successfully
Mm-hmm.
in the world which we live. That's most disheartening.
What do you think is the causation for the failure piece?
Well, I think that in my culture, it's because we're now disjointed so badly. There are, the parents' wisdom and mother wit that had maybe in the 50s or um, 40s was more dominant, and people actually got married and they stayed in close proximity to family, and they had the mother with or the teachings from their grandmother or their great grandmother, or they had information. It wasn't just out there, like someone said on one of their events feeling like they were having a baby and the baby was coming out the butthole as opposed to where it's supposed to come, because obviously no one had talked to them and given them information.
Mm-hmm.
So that is, I think that's the essence of the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely say draw dropping would definitely be those areas where I've worked, and those kids did not receive the necessities. That's what broke my heart, because we see where kids go without wants all the time, or vice versa, go and they have everything they want, but to know that the need piece, there's a deficit, um and they don't have the necessities. It's jaw dropping to know that um basically it's is not enough care and consideration, or possibly there was and it was just mishandled and things happen, so somebody might have lost a house or a job or whatever have you, whatever hardship they may find themselves in. But it's jaw dropping to know that this child has to fight beyond that, to know that this child may or may not have those around them to help push them to push beyond what they see, the environment that they've grown up in. It was jaw dropping because if you go without necessities, I mean, I've been around children who had like underpits, hygiene was very poor. Um, I'm saying like stuff in their hair matted, clothes unwashed, just completely unkept, and like that grieves my heart because there's something that we can have a propensity to overlook oftentimes, and that is something that some people have to experience every day, especially as a child where their minds are not developed enough to try to do a thing on their own, even if they desire to.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's jaw dropping, and I think that as a solution, it would definitely be uh, plan having a child, not just having sex just for the sex piece, and having a child, understanding that as purpose attached to that child, understanding that it's something that happened in the earth realm that's placing a demand on your womb or your seed, to bring it into the earth realm to be the change. We have to know that. We have to know that. Even what the scriptures say, in terms of the arrows.
Quiver
Yeah.
that you full, the quiver is full,
Mhm.
and they are the, yeah, the children are the arrows, and
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
you can point them in the direction where with they go.
Mhm.
The other thing is that in that training of the child, you don't want to consider just teaching them how to be polite. You want to know what they're called to do. What is their purpose, and you train them in that way. You know, if they're speakers, you train them how to speak. If they're going to be an artist, you get them in art school early. You train them. If
Mhm.
you know, whatever strength that you
Mhm.
see in the child, your training is part of that, cultivating the strength so
Mhm.
that they could be Olympic stars, or so that they could be recording artists, or they may be political leaders, whatever. Your training in them is for that ultimate goal.
Yeah, the training piece is selfless. The training piece also take attentiveness. You have to be diligent. You have to be patient. You have to be aware. You have to um, because actually I think about this all the time. So the same area that had the deficit, in terms of hygienic care and just those kids didn't have what they need. They did have, however, a teacher who was incredible. These kids had emotionally behave disorders as well, in addition to their unkeptness. But this teacher that they had, oh my God, when I say that man, this is in a school setting. He identified what they were good at and nurtured it to the best of his ability. He had this thing called 10K. Well, and he based his the things that he offered the kids in the classroom off of his research. He said 10,000 hours makes an expert. Anything that you study successfully for 10,000 hours, you will become an expert at it. So he had this activity called 10K, and he put those kids whatever area that they liked the most, or that he saw passion towards, because it's different between liking something and have passion, but that's the whole nother thing. But anyways, those things that they were passionate towards, he put them in that field and continue to nurture it nonstop. And so that is really important, because we believe that a successful person comes from a trained person. You don't see Olympics don't happen overnight. A gymnast, or that's the same thing as Olympic. Uh, yeah, they don't happen overnight. That's every day, continual training, continuing era as well. Era is a part of training. Yes. So, anything else you have to offer about children and
I guess the other thing is that you don't want them to do what you didn't do, because you wanted to be a doctor and you didn't make it. So
yeah, don't be living vicariously through your
yeah,
child.
yeah,
Yeah, that's sad.
yeah. Don't make them be a doctor because that's
Hmm.
what you wanted to do.
Hmm.
Um,
It'll grow presenting you for sure.
mhm. I think that's and I think if you really watch your child, if you really pay attention, you can kind of learn what their strong suits are. You know, you can see it early on because everything they are is already packaged. It's just underdeveloped, but it's there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, One thing too that I know is, even if you haven't identified their gifting, which a lot of times is kind of evident and obvious, you can definitely work on those things that are all around a necessity. So things that can enhance your mindset. We always want to take into account the spiritual element, um, the cognitive element, the element of, hey, let's be healthy. I mean, it's so many different aspects of raising children. Teach them finances early on. That's not something that they even have to be good at, but that's something that they need in order to sustain a healthy lifestyle. So we want to incorporate those things as well, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of things too. I think should not be left to the system, the school system, to teach because truthfully, they're feeling pretty miserably, and you need to do your research. You need to figure it out, and even as you're figuring it out for them, you're probably learning stuff you didn't know your own self.
Mm-hmm.
But to break the knowledge, the
Mm-hmm.
lack of knowledge for
Mm-hmm.
you, and able to give more information to the
Mm-hmm.
child,
Mm-hmm.
um, is part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Is part of that.
I've actually seen that very rewarding, working with a child and teaching them new information that I don't even know.
Mhm.
Like, it's like we're learning together, and
Mhm.
this is what the productive struggle look like.
Mhm.
And it's such a beautiful thing,
Mhm.
because a child, and that's the thing about children, they're so pure at heart. Oh my gosh, they're so pure at heart. So they're not consumed by you having a notion of perfectionism. They just want the best that you can offer in that time. And so it's like, hey, it's okay, Miss Whitney, take your time, or like, let's learn this together. Like, it's such a beautiful space that they're at. um
Some of them,
yeah.
not all of
Yeah.
them, depending on what they're under at their home.
Hmm.
You know, kids emulate what they see,
Hmm.
and if they've been a certain way at home, you're gonna see it in their behavior outside of the home,
Hmm.
and that's when your skill sets have to set in
Hmm.
to use it to help cultivate what was missing.
So you've had experiences where children was not like excited about learning a new thing and allowing you to learn too.
Yeah, some kids have bah humbug attitudes.
What is bah humbug?
Like, I don't care, whatever.
What you mean?
They don't care.
Like they just be like, I don't care about the information that you bringing forth.
And depending on what their environment is, what they've come from.
Do you have like an example specifically? I'm sorry, I'm pulling from you.
Why?
Because this is interesting to me. I don't think that I've really experienced a child that just was like, oh, I don't care, I don't want to learn.
Oh yeah,
that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, some I've seen kindergartners because that's where I officially started professionally working in kindergartners that they had no interest in learning. They were a lot of times they would come to school upset because something has happened at home. And I don't think that's their natural niche, but when there's a disruption in their place where it's supposed to be safe, yeah, they become disconnected to the learning experience.
So make a positive learning
That's why
experience.
I say that your skill sets turn up in a setting like that.
So cultivate a positive learning experience at home so that you can help the teachers, okay, the educators.
And then what the teacher has to do is become creative think on her feet, how to stimulate, because it's not a natural, inquisitive space that all children have. That's unfortunate, but it's the truth. Not all kids have that. I want to learn. I want to know. You know, I worked with a little girl from. I worked with her from. She's from Baghdad. She wasn't interested in learning every time I sat down with her at all.
How old was she?
You remember?
Oh, I don't know she was from there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. What do you feel about this? I know we're getting ready to run out of time, but
so do you know that she was not always interested in learning?
I did not know that. I did not know that. I just know you said that when you went there, they got their money's worth.
Oh yeah,
because you made sure you provided the essentials, and
I had to cultivate.
Yeah,
because she had more fear of failing than actually achieving and trying to get it done.
Wow, that makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
Okay, so really quickly, what do you think about those people who implement positive reinforcement? Do you feel like that is a space of okay? I'm just gonna let you talk, and then I'm gonna say.
Well, okay, explain your question so that I won't.
So, like positive reinforcement includes things like, hey, on Friday we will have a box that you can pick something out of if you behave during the week. Do you believe in positive reinforcement?
So I'm on the fence.
Yeah,
I really am, because that's the expectation.
Me too.
Behavior, proper behavior is the expectation. Learning new information is a different situation. I might say that if you pass your math test or your spelling test, this is going to be something you get, because that is not.
You got to put in work.
Yes. Yeah. But to obey and to do what you know is right to do, what you've been trained to do, or what your parents taught you to do, I don't think that's a rewarding thing.
Right.
I don't. I think that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And if you train them to, like Pavlov's dog, to respond to stimulation every time, and he begins to salivate, and you give him a treat, they're going to think that's how life goes. They're going to think that I have to perform, and then I get this. And if I don't get this, then you feel like a failure. You feel like you did something wrong, or they're mistreating you.
Yeah.
So you don't want to train a child the way you might want to do a dog or an animal.
To my good boy, good girl.
Because they have to have moral turpitude.
Yes.
You have to teach them moral turpitude and character. So no.
I would definitely have to agree with that. Yeah, it's alternatives for like she said, moral turpitude. If those are some things that should be ingrained in the child, that stands as an expectation. That's the standard. That's the foundation from which we're working from. We're building from. I have an expectation that you will come into this classroom and sit down in your seat and behave yourself like all the other kids. So how about that child who has been in a deficit behaviorally? What is something that you encourage the educator or even the parents to do in order to bring that child to a different space?
I say the first thing is that children are not to be the set the standard. I believe that the parent and the teacher are supposed to work hand in hand. I believe that if the teacher gets to know the parent, because more than likely the parent's background and the teacher's background are separate, different. More than likely, the expectations that's in the classroom and the expectations at home are different. So, in order so that the child won't feel torn, because I've had to say things like, "Okay, my mom said I don't have to do what you say." Well, okay, then you stay at home with your mama.
Exactly.
But in this environment, you do what I say.
Exactly.
And the parent has to be in agreement with that because it makes the child confused and it causes for less productivity.
Yes.
So I believe that my sets would be, let's have a week of hanging out with the parents and the teachers. Just hang out, learn the styles, learn the philosophy, learn the mindsets, and then come with a blank slate to put on here what we want to do for the children together.
Yes, together.
Because so if I say homework is done every night, the child's not going to go home and the mama say, "That's okay, you don't have to do your homework."
Right.
Or if I say that you have to read a book once a week, the parents not going to say, "Well, I don't care what Miss Bonner say, don't read it." So things like that are just error. That's error.
And you getting everybody on one accord.
That's the goal. That's the goal. And you can't really, a lot of times teachers are blamed for everything, and a lot of times parents are blamed for everything. But if we work together, no one's no name, no blame. Let's work together. I think the parent has a weightier portion because they're the principal trainers. We are the givers of information, and in the process, we train you how to assimilate to the way we give out the information. But in terms of your character and your moral turpitude, that's supposed to be taught at home.
I agree. I would have to agree. Yeah, I would have to agree. But it's funny because we have to have a lot of spaces of reinforcement posted on the wall to remind you, raise your hand, don't talk when someone else is talking, etc. And so
because
that's
not taught at home.
Exactly.
If you go come to some people's house sitting at the table, most of the time they don't even sit at the table. Number one. Number two, if they sit at the table, they're either not talking, or everybody's talking at the same time, nobody understands it, or they're on their phone. So when you go to school, you have the same mindsets, So that's why I said this stuff has to be a revamping in the home. And I can even say if I say let's eat at the table, somebody else say I want to eat in my room and watch TV. Okay. That's not the goal. That's really not how it's supposed to go. You're supposed to, and so that when you go to the cafeteria at the school, because everybody's going to be at the table, nobody's throwing food, arguing. You know how to eat at a table because you do it at home. I mean, training starts at home.
Training starts at home.
Starts at home.
Whew, excuse me, guys. Okay, we've exceeded our time for today. We're almost at 30 minutes and a few seconds. So we pray that you have gotten a lot out of this live tonight. I think it was very informational. It was very informational. So if you take the information home and you apply it, we're going to see change. This is our future generation that we're talking about. All right, guys. Future generation or bridging generations for the future. Bye, y'all.
Bye.